What up, YouTube? It's your boy, Detroit Love, with another video. Today's Friday night. I have not been on for such a while, and so I don't really have a plan today. Just wanted to come out and see who shows up, and let's chill and chat, baby. Let's do this. What up? What up? What up? What up, everybody? Uh, it's been a while. It's been a crazy summer. Been out enjoying the weather. The weather's just starting to take a turn. What up, Big Daddy Cool? Bun Nuff. What up? What up, brothers? Um, Weather's just now getting to the point where I have to put some long sleeves on. It's a part of the day, so I start to make my comeback onto the scene. Here in Detroit, man, we get such a short summer. So I like to enjoy it. What up, Travis? What's going on? What up, Tony C? Man, I missed you guys too, man. It's been a while. The Super Game Room dudes, man, we all been going through some stuff. My mom was in the hospital. She just got out yesterday. So I'm so happy for her down there in Florida, hotbed for the pandemic. So she's recovering. What up, Chris A? What up, Travis? I think I said that. I appreciate you guys stopping in. What up, Glenn? What up, Sling Spade? So yeah, so that's good news. Good news. My mom was out the hospital. Um, yeah, I'm sure Arby's misses me as well. um, but yeah, so she's out, so that's good. Uh, Man, I just been enjoying my bike. We've been going on bike rides as much as often. I think the longest bike ride is 54 miles this year. What a BA. And yeah, my whole sister's household where my mom lives, everyone got it except for my brother-in-law, who was the only one that was fully vaccinated. Everyone else just had one shot. And so everyone's recovered. At this point, my mom had the worst of it. Um, so she was ready to get out of there. So her breathing's all under control. That's the thing they don't talk about, is that oxygen, man, it's a silent killer. You don't know. Uh, they have these little meters that you can just put on your fingertip, and they'll let you know what your oxygen level is. Anyone that comes down with COVID should have one of those in the house, just in case you have it, because uh, it would appear as if you're just tired, sleepy, and then in a matter of days you can be gone. I appreciate that, Tony C. Um, yeah, man, I am. You guys have to fill me in. You guys have to fill me. I have been getting bits and pieces of a few things, some racers, some big blue. I have been totally out of it, so I have no clue. So you guys need to fill me in. If anyone wants to come on the channel and chat, just let me know. Send me a message on Facebook, and I will send you a link. I am totally clueless. The only thing that has been happening with me, I've been working with my boy uh, Bobby Vu to die for. He's making me a new improved backlash for my Legends Pinball. So that's supposed to come on Tuesday. Glenn, just shoot me a message. Uh, let me. It's been a while. Okay, here, invite. You only have the same. I'm just gonna put it. Can I even post it in here? I'll just post it in here. I'll be going against the rules. uh, yeah. So Glenn, I just put it out there. Thoughts on Big Blue? I mean, I have a Street Fighter. You see, I have been in technology since I was a kid. and been working in technology, I've always been a very practical person. I don't buy things just because they're cool or they're new. Um, I buy things that I'm actually going to use, actually going to enjoy, and I already have a Street Fighter, so it wouldn't make any sense for me to get a Street Fighter, another Street Fighter. But my opinion of it, it's hard to judge something when you haven't actually seen it and put your hands on it. The render that I saw initially looked very weird. Um, but as far as how it plays, obviously it's almost impossible to get a regular Street Fighter, right? The one that I have that you see in the picture behind me. Um, and so, oh, Glenn, here you go. What up, Glenn?
Hey, what's going on, man? Honor
Just
to be
talking
on
about,
the show.
yeah, no problem, man. Just talking about the Big Blue. I hadn't seen it in person. I was just saying, if it's kind of hard to judge it whether it's good or not, and I already have one, and then you can't buy the regular Street Fighter hardly, so it's better for someone buying a Street Fighter today as opposed to mine from 2 years ago, right? Uh, so if you don't have a Street Fighter, I don't see a problem with getting it. So what's been going on, Glenn? I just been
What's
hearing
going
bits
on?
and pieces about stuff, man. I have no idea what all this controversy's been about. I don't
Oh
want to
yeah,
bring
it's
up.
it's
I
been a
want
busy
to.
busy week.
Yeah, I want to scrape any scabs off if they've healed on anything. But I clearly have no idea.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I mean, the big news, of course, comes right on the tail of National Owners Day. With the reveal of the Legends Ultimate Racer. Um, and so there's been some controversy around the Legends Ultimate Racer, and I actually had the benefit of speaking to PK one-on-one before he addressed it publicly. So this is a great opportunity to talk about it. So the Legends Ultimate Racer, it was revealed on Super Games Dude's show, your show, that it's in the works, and really cool. It's going to have an open and connected device using a Connect 2 that's in the works. More powerful than what we've seen because it's going to support multi HDMI out. The Racer will be capable of supporting up to 3 screens.
okay.
And P-Dubs showed the specs for it. So it'll have options to do like 5.2 surround sound, haptic feedback. Of course, it'll support OTG like all of the current devices do. But it looks pretty amazing, at least from the specs that were shown, the preliminary specs. But the key thing is that shortly after that broadcast happened, it came to light. Some people discovered it was Retro Ralph, and I don't want to bash anybody else out there, but that's where the controversy initially popped up. But some people discovered that the racer is or the prototype is based off of a device, a racing cabinet that you can find listed on AliExpress. And so immediately there were assumptions. Oh, well, there's something shady going on. At Games isn't, telling the truth. This isn't really their prototype. All these assumptions started coming out. And look, when you think about it, a company like At Games didn't have to put that out there at such an early stage. For competitors to see. When you have the Ridge Racer cabinet was revealed in a leak this week. That's another thing that came out. There's a Ridge Racer cabinet in the works from Arcade 1-Up. So they didn't have to put themselves out there. So the real scoop is, and I had chatted with PK that night when the controversy started bubbling up, and he made the decision to actually go and address it head on, the next day, and then later put out a public statement. But here's the real deal, right? So what Odd Games has done is partnered up with some manufacturing plants in China. The company that actually created that device, which is not even available to the public, even though there's a listing out there, you can't actually go and buy that. And they financed a number of manufacturers in China to kind of bring them together as sort of this cohesive community and bring the best of the manufacturing that's in that region where their plants are, to pull them together, as a workforce to create better products.
Okay.
And so that's kind of, and maybe I'm describing that the wrong way. I mean, you can actually go to At Games now, and there's a official public statement, but that's basically the gist of it.
Okay.
And so it wasn't that he was hiding anything. It was that this is the idea that they're going to take something. What we're going to see at the very end is not going to be what we're seeing now.
Okay.
And what I pointed out too, if you look at like the quad play, right? Recently, they did, surveys for community feedback, and what was released on National Owners Day for pre-orders looks nothing like it did, about a month ago? Looks very different now.
Okay, so explain to me. So is this racer is supposed to go onto my Legends Ultimate?
Yeah, so just like the Legends Ultimate, it'll have the same kind of software, the same universal kind of open and connected platform that we have today. But it's going to have its own unique abilities. So, like I said, it'll have a single screen. I think the spec sheet, if I recall, I think it's a 32-inch screen, but the prototype was showing 24-inch screens. But it'll have the ability to hook up to additional screens. So, like if you've ever seen those cool racing things where it has sort of the rounded, kind of display where you can have it all almost going around you, you can do that setup with this product, which is pretty cool.
So it's a standalone.
No, it's a sit down. It's a sit down racing cab.
Oh, so it's a whole cabinet in itself.
Oh yeah, it's a full sit down.
Okay, I was thinking it
was
like an accessory. Okay.
Yeah, and what was interesting too is that they did show, and P Dubs tells a story. He said, "Look, I'm a big guy. You got to get somebody like 6 foot tall to get in this racer because hey, you take something like the Outrun cab, and it's pretty hard to fit in that thing without it looking like a kid's toy." And PK, kind of was quick to joke with me. He's like, "Where am I going to find a 6 foot tall guy in China?" But apparently he did. And the guy shown in the video was 6 foot tall. And it looks like he sat in it fairly comfortably. Like there was some room and the seat's adjustable. At least in the version they were showing there, the seat lights up LED, had a lit marquee. It was kind of glowing and whatnot. So, I think there's great potential for it. Look, they could take my money now. After, the ALP and the ALU, and I've always wanted a racing cab. It's a win-win, I think, for them to be able to release that. I think it's going to blow Arcade 1-Up out of the water. Figure the Arcade 1-Up cabinet, and I think that was leaked right before you might have kind of, went off the radar for a little bit. I think the rumored price is somewhere between $800 and $1,000 for that cabinet.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous because you're going to get maybe 4 games if you're lucky.
So let me just understand. So now is the cabinet, is there a prototype available to actually see how the cabinet look, or what we're seeing now is not the finished product and we're not?
Yeah, on Super Game Room Dudes, P-Dubs cut together a full video that shows it in action in its current state today. Okay. But in talking to PK, that's not going to be what the final product will look like. They, like I said, they took an existing product and they're basically re-engineering the product. Okay. And working in partnership with this manufacturing plant that originally had the Gen 1 product. So, and my understanding too from PK, you can't even get that current product as it exists today at all. Even though there's still listing out there. But like I said, the controversy came up is that, immediately, games is shady and they're hiding something. So PK did the right thing and he addressed, Retro Ralph head on, and Retro Ralph deleted all his posts from YouTube. And so PK went on there again and put him back on there again, and he's deleted them all again.
Yeah, I've seen some of the foolishness out there with Ralph's posts and comments and things. And again, I don't understand why, it has to go that route every time.
Right.
The beauty is we don't care if it's from Act Games, whether it's from Arcade 1-Up, right, from a brand new company that comes out of nowhere, and gets us a awesome racer, shooter, right? Whatever's missing in the equation, we want it, right? And and so I'm glad to see that they're working on it, because the products that have been available to date has not appealed to me. If it, I don't know. Again, I hadn't even seen anything with the Act Games one, but I hope the appearance is that it's at least like a car, or pretend to be a car.
It's not a full racing seat. It's not like a 2-piece thing like Arcade 1-Up. It's a full bucket, racing seat. It's not like a big back racing seat, but it's like I said, you can go on, you can see pictures on that games thing, and of course, it's on Super Game Room Dudes in the video. Towards the end of that, there's a full-on trailer that P-Dubs cut together. But it definitely, the version that they have in this prototype, it's all metal, which I can't imagine for cost with shipping that the final version will be the same construction. I'm sure it'll do, because I think today like the AliExpress thing for what that listing was shipped to the US was like $1,500 or maybe a little bit more. So I think if they're smart, they'll try and get it under $1,000. For the price on it. For what it does, it certainly, on paper, it does a lot more than what Arcade 1-Up's cabinets do. So, I mean, I think they probably could get more money than what the Ridge Racer or the Outrun cabinet's going for. But it's interesting too, because you think about it, is where it's a bit more niche is, look, you can get the ALP, play your pinball, and you can play arcade games on it. You can get the Legends Ultimate, you can play your arcade games on it, and you can play pinball. Well, this, sure, you probably could play arcade games on it, but are you really going to sit there and connect the gamepad and play arcade game? Probably not. So I think this is a little bit more limited. Yep,
so that's the thing there.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So it's going to come down to price. It's not going to appeal to everybody. I mean, I know for me, I'll buy that thing in a second. I'm jonesing for an arcade cabinet. And I've almost a couple of times I saw something on Prime Arcade, which was like crazy money, and I came close to buying it. And I held off, and I'm happy to see it. iGames is doing it, and I think they'll do it right.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that looks fine. I mean, it's got an adjustable seat. It appears to be. Yeah. You can slide that forward and backwards.
Yeah.
Your feet are down in the area, designed for pedals. So I'm not a fan of the stand up. I just don't really get.
No, not for race. It's got to be sit down. It's got to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're not sitting down, then I don't get the stand up ones at all. I don't, and I can understand having a two-piece where you have some restraints in your room and you want to be able to put the seat away. I can understand that. But to me, if I'm going to have a racer, I'm going to make some space to have one that's all inclusive, where I can sit there and feel like I'm in a vehicle while I'm driving. And so I think that looks pretty good. So that's my first time seeing it. I wish I had a better picture, but when I click on it, it does it goes nowhere. So so what else has been going on? I know I saw a few things with iArcade. The football game was at 10 yard. What's the name of that football?
Yeah, I saw that they had that release. I haven't paid as much attention with iArcade. I didn't see where there was too much going on that. I mean, but the big thing that's been going around now that people are getting the big blue in their hands now. So there's been a lot of reviews of that. Okay. Look, to me, it looks just awkward. I don't know. I mean, I remember the big blue in the arcade, man, and it's just, sure, it's taller, but the fact it's so skinny, it doesn't look right. It's certainly something that doesn't appeal to me. Maybe some people get into it.
What do you have at the house there? What are you playing on?
So, of course, I got the Legends Ultimate. I have a 1.0. I have a 1.1. I have a Legends Pinball. I've ordered the Legends Mini, Legends Ultimate Mini cabinet that'll be coming out, shipping in November.
So you got the Tetris one, or you bought it last NOD or
the original NOD? Yeah, I got my pre-order, and then I'll be getting the Tetris version of it, which I like the graphics on it. So I'm going to use that as a dedicated vertical cabinet. And then recently they came out and showed how much easier it is, to flip the screens around. It's like 45 seconds. I think that was on maybe the last show that you were on with P-Dubs. But they got it down, so it's actually easier to change the bezel now. It's a little thumb screws as opposed to having to use a screwdriver. I still would have liked to see a better mechanic, so you didn't have to unscrew stuff. Like maybe you could have pulled and twisted would have been a better idea, but still, it's cool. It's versatile. It does that. And what other arcade cabinet out there does that?
Right. Yeah, I would have rather have it, like you said, like on a mounted TV stand or whatever, where you can pull it out and rotate it. I mean, that technology has been available for so long. Obviously, that brings up the cost. But again, I think if you do something right, you'll have people complain no matter what price something is.
Right.
But I think if you build it, the people will buy it. So I agree with you. I would prefer for it to be a little simpler. In my case, I would probably just keep it vertical, but it's nice.
That's what I plan on doing. I have my Legends Ultimate, so this will be a dedicated vertical cabinet, and I really wish it still had trackball in it. PK said, I've chatted with him. He said, look, never rule it out. And I mean, I know what I mean, I think one of the reasons, he was saying is, for retailers, costs and things like that, to keep the costs down, that they didn't put the trackball. So I look, I think if there's enough demand for it, we may eventually see a mini gamer swappable control panel that has a trackball that goes into it. I would have liked that personally, just because I'm like, there's so many great vertical games,
Absolutely, absolutely. And you see in my picture behind me, my Galaga, my modified Galaga, I have a trackball in there,
right?
Because obviously you want to be able to play Centipede, Millipede, and those type of games. So yeah, I would have preferred to have had that on the at Legends.
But I have
at
it in the
Games,
control panel
Legends
on
Mini.
the pinball, so I still can play those on there.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if that will that control panel fit the Mini.
No, they're different sizes. The mini gamer though will swap into it. So if you did want 8 buttons on there, you do have that ability. I mean, look, most vertical games or most games that you would want to play on there, they never use more than 6 buttons, so you wouldn't need it for that. I mean, the only advantage of that is if you wanted to swap it in and maybe play some fighters and you didn't have the space for a Legends Ultimate, and you're going to play in landscape, so you have that benefit of popping a mini gamer in there to get some extra buttons on it. But aside from that, yeah, I mean, like I said, I plan on doing it vertical. I mean, you get back to what you'd asked too about what cabinets I have. For me, and I don't personally get the total appeal for Arcade One Up. I know some people like. I know Michael loves the idea. Michael B. The collector's aspect of it. The different cabinets. And I get that. Same thing with like those when they 1/5 scale, like the little ones, the collectible ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for me. I mean, Arcade One Up, I have the Star Wars cabinet and I have the big buck. Yeah, exactly. They're cool, but I'm like, I don't know that I would collect them. They do have a really cool factor to them. But
this little thing is awesome, and it plays well. I'm surprised how well.
Well, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, you should get one of these. I think.
But I was gonna say I would get that before I think I'd get another Arcade One Up, just because of the coolness factor of that.
Yeah, I mean, this thing looks awesome. My camera's kind of playing with the colors here, with the green screen. But man, I tell you, this thing is solid. It looks well. It plays well.
I can sit down in my office on a shelf and it looks
absolutely
cool.
Absolutely.
Arcade One Up, it's like you're getting, now you're getting at most 10 games, which look, BYOG, I have like 5,000 games I can play on my Legends Ultimate. But I mean, I have the Big Buck Hunter, I have the Star Wars cabinet, and unless they came out with something really unique that I couldn't get elsewhere, I think I'm done with Arcade One Up. I mean, I think they dropped the ball with their T2 cabinet that's been leaked. I mean, T2 in the arcade, they weren't even light guns. They were analog guns that sat on mounts that you turned. And now it's like the way it looks like they're doing it. I think they're Sinden guns that you pick up and hold like rifles, and that's not T2.
Right. Well, I have no complaint with Arcade One Up. I mean, the reality of it is, we probably wouldn't have any of these cabinets in our house had they not started
That's
and got
true.
the ball rolling. So absolutely. For that, I had, I've had Raspberry Pis for years with arcade games on them, playing on my TV. I hated it. You know what I mean? Because I like to stand at a cabinet. I like to be able to put the quarters in. And so, and I've looked at a million videos on how to build them. You know what I mean? I could have built one. It would look like trash, but it would have played. It would have played.
Yeah,
right? So when Arcade One Up came out, I said, man, for the price of the wood alone, you know what I mean? And the tools I would have to buy to cut the wood.
Right.
And then get stickers to laminate it to make it look. I mean, it was a no-brainer.
Sorry, Alexa, stop.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer.
Alexa starts talking. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So see, again, I've never, I was a great Palm Pilot guy. You know what I mean? And people used to knock Palm Pilot when they had the Windows, the CE, and then the iPhone came out there. I don't go around saying, oh, it's got to be one or the other. At the time, the Palm was the beast. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then iPhone became the beast. You know what I mean? and I never get into the Sony versus Xbox, whatever. I've had them all, what I mean, because I'm gonna
Exactly.
get what I want to use, and so I don't get into the silly games of I got to put down one in order to like the other one. I can like
No,
both
and
of them.
that's
I
the
can
thing.
like them all. I can like
It's
something
all about
about one.
options, like what P Dubs always says, right? And I think it just raises the bar, as you, and it creates a bigger ecosystem and competitive ecosystem, so that one company's got to raise the bar. So I think it's great that there's all these choices out there. I mean, like I said, for me, I've now quickly become an At Games fan just because of the versatility of the product, and I wouldn't say I would never buy an arcade one-up product again if they came out something that was totally unique. Hey, I have the Star Wars pinball table just because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I bought it, even though I knew I was getting the Legends pinball and I knew it could do more stuff and I could do those games. I had to have it, right? So I think it's great that there are so many choices out there. And same thing with IR Arcade. It's for me, that's not a product right now. For me, it hasn't something that hasn't really gained my interest, but I keep my eye on the ball because I dig the idea it's doing more modern games. And the second something comes on that sparks my interest, man, I'll drop the cash for it.
Yeah, and just in this picture alone, the thing with IRK that I don't like is that it doesn't have a backlit marquee. Aside from that, I like the cabinet, but and people have made some prototype things, and those options. Like while I appreciate them, I just hadn't found the one for me.
Right.
But that's my only complaint about the IRK, and little nitpicky stuff like the logo doesn't make any noise when you got these nice speakers in here when you boot up. It's like, come on, that's an easy fix.
Right.
So you can nitpick about any of these things, but
yeah,
again, 3 years ago I didn't have any of these cabinets here, and now I have a whole row of them that I can walk up to enjoy. My Galaga and my Street Fighter I can put quarters in, so when I want to have that feel, I love that
awesome.
aspect of it. So I got the real coin doors on them. The pinball, I'm a big fan of that. I had just been so slow. I don't want to gut my Toy Shock and take my computer out and put it into the At Games. So I got to build a whole new PC for that. And so I've been, getting all the pieces together. I've bought more pieces than I'm actually going to probably use. But that's in the works. But like I said, I just take off for the summer, so I hadn't been active. I got my big Pixel, which is still in the box. I hadn't had a chance to take it out and get that installed.
Did you get a chance to order anything from NOD?
NOD, I did not. I ordered the Tetris from last year, so I'll be getting that this year. I do have the new Tato tables, but my back glass is off, so I can't. I hadn't turned it on and play with it until I get that. And so Bobby Vu has got the that coming to me on Tuesday. I'm off this whole week. I'm off from today until next Thursday.
Oh wow.
So I definitely have some time to start playing around with that. So I hope that works out well. That was an adventure in itself, just getting that. I shipped to my back glass, and UPS just tore it up. They just smashed it to smithereens. So that was crazy. So I ended up having to buy another one, which was crazy. But it's coming.
So Bobby's doing a deluxe one for you, similar to like the Buy Stuff store.
Yes, similar to the Buy Stuff store, only better.
Oh, nice. Oh, if it's Bobby, man, it's clean.
Yeah, Bobby don't play. Bobby does not play around. I mean, he's got a line up clear. He's out in California. He's got a line clear from coast to coast of people in line for it, and for good reason.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. He loves doing that stuff, man. I mean, he sends me pictures. I get so many messages from everybody all day, every day, and I try to at least peek in on it. And he was sending me pictures like every day, like look where we at. Yeah. Again, I'm like, I'm waiting for the end product. I don't really need to see it because I already know it's gonna be clean like a mother. Yeah. So but that's just how he is. He's just excited about it, man. He loves this stuff, man, and you can't help but love what he does. You know what I mean? And I don't have anything against Buy Stuff store. I mean, I know it was the thing about did they watch his video and make it and all that stuff. And that's nothing new. We've been hearing. I mean, there's only so many ways you can make a
Yeah.
a rectangle
Well,
box,
it's
right?
cool that there's so many people out there doing this. I mean, hey, look, I think it's awesome that Buy Stuff is making third party accessories for it. I think that's dynamite. I mean,
Yeah,
the more stuff out there, again, even like the competition that the modding competition Ad Games had. I mean, what was it? Some of those products wound up in Buy Stuff store that you could actually order. I mean, I think it's just great. There's so many people out in the community doing this stuff because people feed off the ideas, and sometimes the companies will see what the community's doing and they turn that into a new idea for a product. It's great.
yeah. I agree. The more the merrier, the more options, and neither one's taking customers from each other because
Right,
hell,
right.
it's enough demand out there, and only so many.
Exactly.
And both those guys, they can only produce so many so quickly anyway. So it's going to be a
Right.
lineup on either side of the border for those. So it's good to have some options. And and they're going to be expensive. That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
They're going to
yeah.
be expensive because they're not being mass produced. Um, you know, we know down the line that At Games is probably going to improve on this, and they're
Right.
probably
I'm
going to have
waiting to
something
see what they
similar.
do if they
Yeah,
do it. Yeah, because I was involved at OCP group early on when they were doing the Vibs board, and also in the closed group when they were taking feedback specifically for deluxe backlash. So, I mean, if it comes out, the things that were pitched, if they get incorporated into it, are very cool. So it'll be exciting to see, if that product actually happens. If it does, certainly not this year. I would imagine it'd be sometime next year, but it'd be really cool if that does happen.
yeah. I mean, again, this is still just version 1.0. You
Yeah,
mentioned with
yeah,
the Legends Ultimate, you have 1.0 and 1.1, and you
right.
know what I mean. So clearly, a 1.1 or 2.0 is going to come out with this pinball,
Yeah.
and clearly they're going to make some improvements down this path that they're going. So I can't wait to see. And of course, there's going to people be like, they should have did that the first time, blah blah. You'll have all that silly stuff. But you either wait forever for the best product to ever come out, or you get and enjoy what's available at the time, right? So
Yeah.
we're on the bleeding edge, and I was in the program with you. I have all those parts. I never even got a chance to use them because it was just changing so fast. What I mean, but that's what I like to do. I like to tinker. I like to improve on things that I buy and make them better to play. So again, I love where this thing is going. I have love for all the companies that are making this because
Yeah.
again, this image behind me wouldn't exist if they didn't do what they did.
Well, what I
And we
think is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I'm saying we know the prices are going to go up, and the prices are naturally going to go up because they're getting better. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
and I can't complain because if you look at my Galaga, you look at my Street Fighter, I don't even remember how much I
Yeah.
add at least $500 to $600 to that cabinet, right? I mean, to get coin doors and
Yeah. Yeah.
everything, the pie and all that stuff, and I didn't flinch. Now again, that's the beauty of a At Games product that I like is that you don't have to come out your pocket all at once, right?
Right.
Just
Right.
like I bought that arcade one up Galaga, right? I paid that initial price, then I bought the riser, then I bought the the pie, and then the coin door. You know what I mean? And so my investment, while it's larger, I didn't come out the pocket,
Right.
day one.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if that product had existed that way at that price, I would have talked a little smack, and but I preferred to have bought it with everything in there as opposed to having to do it. But again, I like tinkering too, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with paying a larger price. And I was looking at this the other day, with the At Games. I love the pinball, and of course I'm sure you've looked at it too. The Chinese virtual pins that they sell. You know what I mean. Now
I
by
had
the time
originally looked at that long before At Games, and the price on those, and what you get is like,
right, the price was huge, but then when you start looking at them, I got the At Games and I got the control panel, and now I'm getting Bobby's custom back glass, all that
yeah,
stuff. By the time I add all that stuff up, and then the extra pinball tables, I probably could have got a virtual pin.
yeah. But the thing
You know what
is,
I mean?
though, you're
But
getting it. The net result, the way you're going, is you're getting exactly what you want. Now, I made the mistake of before the Legends Ultimate came along. I had bought through a company. It was like Prime Arcades. Had bought a full size arcade. It was had the coin door, everything on there. had like 3,000 games in it. But the thing was it was locked. It was PC based, locked in there. You couldn't do anything. It was not upgradable. If you weren't, some of the games worked, some of them didn't work.
Yep.
You know, you're kind of, and it's the same thing with these pinball games. You buy them out of China, right? You know, yeah, they look great on paper, but I can tell if they're anything like, you know, what I had for this upright, you're screwed. You know, I mean, you know, it's most of them have just FX2 games on it. So it's like 76 games, and that's it. And it's locked, and you can't do anything unless you start going in there, you gut it out, you mod it, and then by the time you do it, you might as well just build the thing yourself.
Right.
So I think you went the right route, you know, of doing it, because at the end of the day, you're going to be satisfied because you're getting exactly what you want.
Oh yeah, and again, I'm just saying. Initially, when we bought the product, we griped about the price, but like these other products, you're going to put more money. If you can't get into this hobby, without spending money and spending more money. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But again, the very first Street Fighter was my very first. You know, I griped about the price, even though it was low. But again, I looked at the math and said, by the time I buy the wood, right? But I still griped about the price, and now I have 10 of them, right? You know what I mean? So that's just human nature. We find the money for the things that interest us, right? And that's just how it is, you know.
Without a doubt, yeah.
I'll complain about $500 for something, and then next day I'll spend $700 on something and didn't even think about it, you know. So that's just the nature of us. We're gonna find something to complain about. But like I said, I am delighted that we have this hobby to
no doubt
even talk about, man, because
I mean, who would have thought? I mean, just years ago, I mean, I've dabbled with MAME over the years, and before the Pi came along, and you know, you dabble with it on your PC and you try, you know, use it with a keyboard. It wasn't the same kind of experience. I mean, you know, you would have told me, I mean, God, you know, just even 5-6 years ago, the things that we'd have available today, it's just mind blowing. It's mind blowing, you know. And I mean, it really is amazing. And I mean, look, I was laughing with somebody the other day, and I look at it, it's like the arcade one-up fans and the Yacht Games fans. You have some that are diehard. It's like Star Trek versus Star Wars. You know, some people it's like you know, your franchise is wrong. No, your franchise is wrong. But I mean, they each all have their benefits, right? I mean, you know, like I said, there's the collector's aspect. I mean, aesthetically, some of the arcade one-ups look nicer than the Yacht Games, and they're great for the collectors. There's no, you know, whatever makes somebody happy at the end of the day. Hey, you know, you enjoy the product and you're entertained by the product. That's you know, that's it. That's what they're made for. You know, but like I said, get back to the Yacht Games though, is that, you know, it's mind blowing what the product does. I mean, when you think about it, you know, I mean, the fact that you can plug in a thumbstick and you have access to all these games, or you can plug in your PC, it really is amazing. And you know, you get a product for, you know, you spend, now the price has gone a little bit up with some of the bundles, but you plug it in and right out of the gate, you can get going and play all these thousands of different games. Or you can go down the route like we've done and you start modding and get into, you know, you spend money and get a whole other thing, and you start adding, you know, LCD, you know, marquees or LED marquees, or changing out the gates, or like I've done, I put Stefan Berger's electronic gates in there, so they switch from 4-way to 8-way with a push of a button. You know, you can go down the rabbit hole with expenses, but the fact that, you know, it's easy enough once you look up at YouTube or whatever, just fiddle with it, do that stuff, and we have that ability with these products today. I mean, like I said, 5 years ago, you would have told me I could have this in my office or in my family room, I would have said, you're out of your, you know, how many thousands of dollars do I have to spend? And even the money I put into it still isn't equivalent to what I had spent when I bought that upright arcade cabinet from China. Wow. You know, and I have way more functionality.
Yeah, I really hated that I missed out on Stefan's device there for the.
Well, there's some good news, because something came along that not many people know about. He kind of discreetly, or not discreetly, kind of threw something out there. But I talked to Stefan quite a bit. I'm a huge fan. For anybody out there that's watching right now doesn't know what this is. All right, so let me talk about what it is. So for me, a pet peeve is, it's just like, for example, Pac-Man was not intended to be played on a landscape monitor, right? Mm-hmm. It's a vertical game. Well, Pac-Man, if you're as old as I am, I'm 50, or if you played in the arcades in general, Pac-Man is a 4-way joystick. When you play with an 8-way joystick, it is not as easy a game to play as you think. Or playing a game like Burger Time or a game like Donkey Kong, those are all 4-way joystick games, the gates. If you open up your control panel, like the At Games Legends Ultimate, they come with an octagonal gate, which is, there's a couple of types. There's a square gate, which is typically more used in Japan, but gives you an 8-way. There's octagonal, which is the Legends Ultimate have, and then there's a 4-way gate, which is, literally just up, down, left, right. Well, what Stefan did, which I think is pure genius, because there's not many solutions out there. There's a mag stick, which you can pull up and turn and push down, and it works with magnets, and the throw distance isn't really that great. But what this does is actually gives you the full throw of your joystick, and there's a motorized control that goes over the gate, the special gate, fits on the bottom underneath the joystick, and it uses an Arduino computer board. So you power it via USB or you power it via an electrical outlet, and then it puts a button that you drill a hole through in your control panel. And the button has 2 halves. So you press one half of the button, it'll switch to 4-way. One half of the button switches to 8-way. So on the fly, you can switch those joysticks between 4 and 8-way. And the Arduino board will handle up to 4 sticks. So ultimately, I plan on putting one in the quad play panel that's coming out from At Games, and it'll be able to switch those from 4 to 8-way on the fly, all 4 sticks. So I have it in all my devices, and it's a must-have product. So Stefan, who's out of Germany, was doing this in his house, and he couldn't keep up the demand, these back orders, because more people would learn about him. It's just, it was a sought-after product. Well, your friend that Glenn Planameno, very well, partnered up with Stefan, and I know they're working on a gate specifically for the Tron stick, which is really cool. But not only that, I just learned, and so this is not something I'm not supposed to disclose because Stefan put it out there. They're going into mass production in October to mass produce the regular 8-way gate. So he's hoping that they'll have that out this year, and I'm assuming, just me assuming, that it'll probably be offered through Glenn's GRS store. So that's really exciting because, I actually had introduced Stefan to PK, and unfortunately At Games, and it didn't go with it, but I thought it would have been a genius product to include in the Legends Ultimate as like future 2.0 cabinet. Because once you use this device, I cannot imagine ever having any kind of arcade control panel ever again without it. I mean, it makes such a difference to have the proper gate, for the game intended and played the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you said, it's very frustrating to try and play Pac-Man with an 8-way.
Yeah,
you can't get the precise turns, because the gate is trying to go to a direction that doesn't exist, and then it gets to there.
right.
So yeah, it's a pain. I'm like you. I'm 55, so I'm a little bit older. And when you're used to playing a game a certain way, we as humans adapt. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if that's all we can play with, we'll play it. But it's nothing like playing the way it was designed to be played. And when I saw that from him, from Stefan, I was like, man, I got to have that. But by that time, I heard that Glenn and him were partnering, but it wasn't available. It was no longer on the market for me to get at the time. So I was a little bummed out. I know there was another product that someone had, like a little slider that you attach onto your control panel, and it kind of restricts the thing. But that was pretty flimsy.
I've heard it works well for what it does. The only issue I've heard, and look, I don't know if this is true or not. So, I mean, it could be rumor. I had read in some cases that people were having issues that the manufacturing of the control panels were slightly off in some cases, and that these things were molded all the same, and they didn't always fit perfectly on every control panel. I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is with Stefan's gate, that's a non-issue. There's a little bit more technical involved because you're drilling a hole through it and you're running a wire, but it's really not that hard. Now I put it into my Gamer Pro, the Mini Gamer just recently. I have it in my 1.0, my 1.1, and a modded arcade 1-up with a Pi in it. So, I mean, I've done enough now that it's pretty easy to put in.
Right. Now his came with a button, right? You could switch it manually, but it could also be programmed to know which games this game is vertical.
Yes, so that's where the genius comes in, which is really cool. So let's say, for example, you have your PC OTG, or even if you're building a cabinet, it's just PC driven, right? his software, he actually went through all the catalog of ROMs and programmed his software to know which ROMs used, which games used 4-way versus 8-way, so that literally you could load up a ROM and it will switch the gate on the fly, which is brilliant.
Right.
And I said to him, and this is why I introduced him to Act Games, I said, man, how cool would it be to have an app like CoinOps, third party, you download it, install it, it talks to the Arduino that's in there, you know, it's plugged in USB, it just sends the information, it switches the gates on the fly. And he's like, I'm sure I could do that. And I actually talked to him again recently. I said, dude, there's still nothing stopping you about trying to get that app pushed through there for people to want to mod it. And so, you know, I kind of sparked his interest again, and maybe he'll look into that, because I would love to see that. I think the product is absolutely genius. I told him once, I said, man, I wish I had the capital, because I would want to mass produce it. So I there's no better partner than Glenn and GRS, because his products are awesome. I've got a spinner I modded in. I have a Gamer Pro with a spinner and the gates in my Gamer Pro. So there's no better partner than Glenn. You know, I'm sad to see what, you know, Glenn had that flood. I've learned from Stefan, which is funny, like 5 or 6 minutes from Glenn. So I got to hook up with Glenn one of these days. But we had some really terrible flooding through here, and I was sad to hear about Glenn getting a lot of stuff destroyed in his basement.
Yeah, that's definitely a bummer. Definitely a bummer. No, with your At Games Legends Pinball, you were one of the first people to add like the DMD, right? So,
yeah. I have
not the first, but one of the first for sure.
Yeah. So I have a topper that I used. I didn't go the route, like I talked to Nate. Nate was one of the guys in the community, was an OCP with us. He helped me out a lot. But I mean, he went full on. He has a larger topper. But I have like an 8-inch topper. I have an 8-inch DMD. I've now got collectively, I have like close to 3,000 playable titles, more than I'm ever going to play in my lifetime. But it's just cool, you know. I'm still in the process of adding like another 300 titles. You know, you wouldn't think there's that many out there, but that's the cool thing. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can add on. I mean, crazy amount of titles, or all these awesome obscure titles, or titles that are recreated from, you know, like Stern or Williams tables that you can't buy, the licensed tables that you just can't get in any form. So it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. I've gone down the rabbit hole, and I spend way too much time on pinball. That, and my other fascination is light gun. You know, so, which is something cool. If anybody out there is a big fan of light guns, there's a really cool product out there, and I know it's gotten some attention. I don't think on your show yet, but Raymond Dye is one of the guys doing custom mods. It's called a company called Gun for IR.
Mm-hmm.
And having used the aim track and having used Sinden, it is absolutely the best light gun experience out there, and it's so super easy to use. So how it works is 4 LEDs, unlike the Sinden where, you know, there's a little bit more involved. You have to put a border around the screen. The Gun for IR, you attach an LED at the top of the screen, bottom of the screen, left of the screen, right of the screen. And what's cool is, like, well, I said, well, how the hell do you do that with the ALU, right? Well, the ALU, he sells battery-driven ones that you can either get longer lifespan with AA or a little slightly smaller accessory, you know, using AAA. And I chose the AAA ones, so they're not as intrusive in my view, but they just attach with Velcro right around the edge of the bezel. And so I just flip a switch when I want to use them, and you had the HDMI going through, and I use the light gun games. I have like 204 light gun games, pretty much everything out there you can think of, and I play them on my ALU. And it's amazing, man. I'm playing everything from like Rambo that's in the arcade and Transformers to the vintage stuff, you know, like the Point Blank games and House of the Dead. And it is spot on. It is amazing. And, you know, look, we've all played the aim track, and anybody who's a light gun enthusiast, on the ALU, and it's really cool that that's natively supported. But you know how the cursor can be a little jittery if you play the light gun. It kind of bounces around a little bit. Not with Gun for IR. It is spot on. And you know, Raymond's support is top notch. It's really, if you're a light gun enthusiast, it's absolutely something to look out for, to check out. And that said, with light guns, there's a Kickstarter campaign. If you're a fan of light guns and you like the old Point Blank challenge games, just came onto the scene, just launched on Labor Day. It's a game called Bang Bang Pew Pew, which looks to be like the old Point Blank style games. I actually may personally invest in that. I've been talking to them pretty regularly. And do if I go the route and invest with them, it might be something really, really cool to talk about, in the coming months. Yeah, that so that's something that I know you guys usually don't go out and talk so much about the PC stuff, but really cool. I mean, if you like retro stuff, there's no better way to play retro games with light gun games. You got to check this Gun for IR out. There's a
Oh
ton
yeah,
of stuff.
I definitely have. I definitely tried it, and he's got a line up clear from sea to shining sea to get.
Oh
I
yeah,
know he's not able to get those things out. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
right.
Anybody can come if they got the talent and make these products, but they're not mass producing them. So I would love
Yeah.
to see him get on board with someone to mass
That's
produce
what I
it as
said to
well.
him. Just
Because
do something like the Aim Shock style, like on, like the old gun con, and just mass produce that. I mean, I'm actually looking at getting from him a modded Top Shot Elite. Because I mean, I think it was badass, man. I'm like, I think I need to have one of those. I already own one of them. I bought his twin pedals, so I'm playing Time Crisis 2 with the twin pedals. Yeah, I bought his custom holster for the gun. I already have I already have one of his guns. It was the oh god, I'm blanking now. It's the one with the force feedback. It's the vintage gun. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. But anyway, the point is, it's great product, and he can pretty much turn anything into a light gun, which is really cool. That you want to
yeah,
pay the price. I've seen some really cool guns that people have had modded through him. He's put out on his different links and things like that, and that's what's really sweet.
right. Yeah, I've seen the custom work. I've seen people ship them out to him, and he
Yeah,
do his magic on it. But yeah, and it's not cheap again because
right.
that's
But it's
custom
worth
work.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, for people who love the light guns, man, it's a no brainer,
absolutely.
and that's what you have to determine where your passion is, what you
Right.
enjoy doing. You know what I mean? Like I got a buddy that's always talking about the full cabinets. Oh man, you got to do the full cabinet stuff, blah blah blah. And I just have zero interest in.
Yeah.
My buddies have a Rygar machine for decades, still in his garage. He keeps trying to give it to me, because he doesn't use it anymore. He's just trying to get rid of it. Thing's 300 pounds, and
Well,
you
that's
know,
it.
yeah. And so I have no desire to drag somebody
Yeah.
else's.
Yeah.
I always say with the mouse pee and rat poo, because those things are big. They're typically
Oh
sitting
yeah,
in somebody's garage. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And now, if I could get me a full size Donkey Kong in pristine
Right.
condition, you know what I mean? That's been sitting in somebody's home in the
Yeah.
right conditions, you know what I mean? And get it for a good penny. Those two things are mutually exclusive, so that's not going to happen. But if luck would have it, I would love to have one in that scenario, but not just finding one on
Right.
marketplace, and that's been sitting in somebody's sweltering hot garage for 30 years. You know what I mean? And those things are just too huge. Like I said,
Yeah.
I've moved his thing around when he's moved a couple of times. I have no desire to do that. So I love the 3/4 scale size. They're perfectly. I'm 5'7", so I'm not a giant by any stretch of the imagination. And these things are perfect size for me. So
Yeah.
and I have friends that are over 6 foot, and they come over here and they enjoy them just the same. So the size, I have no complaint about it. You're talking about Michael B, talking about the, like it to look authentic. You know what I mean? I would prefer from, like I said, this little cabinet here, this 1/4 scale, man, that thing is
Right.
made to look exactly like. So if somebody could do that, and I know the licensing, that's why they're 3/4 scales, because the
Yeah.
licensing for full size typically for a business to make money, right? And that's who they license those full size cabinets to. So I understand why they're not. And that's why they have to do the risers and do all this other stuff. But I would love to see, if they got into that market, for me to buy a brand new, lighter, full size cabinet, as
Right.
opposed to
Right.
buying a 40-year-old, cabinet.
Yeah, I'd like to get one myself. I mean, it's just really like you're saying, it comes down to space. I mean, I've always said I'd love to own a vintage cabinet. And it's funny, Donkey Kong is at the top of my list. I'm a huge Donkey Kong fan. But at the end of the day, it comes down to space. It's also too these older cabinets. it's harder to find CRTs for them anymore. So then you got to look about the possibility of gutting them out and replacing them with LCD, which is not all that hard to do, but still, at that point, I'm like, well, if I'm going to have an LCD in it and it's all right, it's the original workings, I might as well play the ROM off my Legends Ultimate,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and like I
So
said, the options we have today, as opposed to just 3, 4 years ago,
that's it.
we had the ROMs for years. It's just
Yeah.
playing them on a PC or playing on the TV. You're sitting there with a controller in your hand. It's just not the same experience.
Right.
And I'm not the one that will come and sit here and play any of these things for hours at a time. Pinball I might play more than most of them, but usually I come down. Golden Tee make it a little more time than others, but I'll come and play for 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and and I may not touch it for a week
Yeah.
sometimes. But I have that ability to do it, and I'm not traveling to an arcade machine,
Right. Right.
arcade to do that. And when I have parties over, people over, there's not a single person that comes down here and don't want to touch it and want to find their favorite
Yeah.
game. You know what I mean? So it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I mean, that's one thing I see. IR Arcade, they're constantly adding on new licenses, which is great. And I'm hoping to that games at some point will add more content, and they'll actually make games available for download. You can buy offline, because I look, I would much rather support and buy the licensed games, because there's also something about it. Oftentimes when you're buying the licensed game, their work with the original creators and the emulation is more spot on, as opposed to just slapping something on a thumb drive, and maybe it'll work right, maybe it won't, because the core is not really intended to run that, and somebody's jury rig. So I mean, there's something to be said. And that is the one good thing with the Arcade One-Up stuff is, at least they're putting it out. And in many cases, they work with the original companies to try and get the emulation correct. So, I mean, I applaud them for that. So, I mean, there's something to be said about that. And I much prefer where I could buy licensed stuff. I would rather do that, especially support the companies, because look, the more you support the companies, the more chances are we'll see new products coming out from them.
Yeah. And like I said, I've been in technology, and I'm accustomed to playing with stuff and using stuff for quite a long time, until someone finds a way to make money from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's not a single thing when we talk about streaming music. We've been downloading music and what I mean, doing all that.
Yeah.
There's nothing that exists today that we didn't get as techies first for
Right.
free,
Right.
free. Until someone with some deep pockets found a way to capitalize off of it.
Yeah.
And so I have no problem, keeping all these things alive. And a year or two from now, it'll be something else that we'll have that we had 2 years ago. People will be making money from it again. So, you know what I mean? So I don't get too bent on shape about, people talking about the piracy of the games, because without us doing what we've done in the past, none of these people would have these today.
Right.
So that's just a part of how technology evolves. If you want to get to the grid of it, we wouldn't have most of these things we have, the ability to do what we're doing now, if it wasn't for the porn industry. The porn industry has been at the front end of every technology on the computer wise, monetization, right? Video streaming, that's just the way it works. You know what I mean? You got to take the good with the bad in order for us to have great things to utilize.
Well, there's also one component too, which is often overlooked, is about preservation too, right? Because I mean, there's some of these games just are not available anymore. Right. So it's like, if it wasn't for emulation, you wouldn't have any playable state for some of these games.
Absolutely. And I would love to have a pinball, even though those things are extremely huge, a real pinball. But
Same
I
here.
know the minute something's not working on it, it's just gonna sit there and collect dirt. So,
well, look at I saw B Kong's video already. He had a problem with his Star Wars pinball, where he already had to do some kind of repair on it, and I don't think he's had it that long.
Yeah, those things take a lot to maintain.
Yeah,
you got to wax the board so the ball's smooth. You know what I mean? It's a lot
right.
of stuff to it. Now they have LED lights, and some of the components have changed. Say with a modern stern as opposed to an old one, but their work. And either you learn how to repair, or you're gonna have to pay somebody to do it. So it's not an inexpensive venture to get in. So to have the virtual pinball, man, I love the concept. Like you said, some of these tables you can't even find tables,
Right.
real tables anymore, but yet you get to play those things. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and
um,
that's the beauty. What I'm really finding that I'm enjoying about OTG with the Legends Pinball now is that there's so many classic like the William Stern stuff you just can't get, and I'd happily pay for a license for those things, to get the digital versions. But even like some of the ones that Farsight had, Farsight Studios, you can't get through Steam anymore. So I mean, you've got these Uber fans that have gone and actually digitally recreated them, meticulously, and they're great. I mean, it's the closest I'm going to get because I can't afford to own one of those real tables. So I mean, that's the beauty of the digital.
yeah. Now you said you had all those tables. I'm assuming you have some future tables as well. Then.
Oh yeah, it's VP. I have a combination of VPX, the Future Pinball. Well, I'm using Future Pinball VPX 9 tables, VPX 10 tables, and 10.7 tables. So I mean, I'm pretty much across the gamut. I mean, they even go older than VPX tables go even older than that. I think there's like versions like 7 and 8 or whatever. But I think my earliest tables that started VPX 9.
Yeah, I have some
Um,
9 and 10 and X. But the future, I just could not. I played around with those future tables. They just the mechanics of it didn't feel right to me. The
yeah,
customization of it is just and they just never looked good. But I see other people with videos that have some future tables that actually look
right.
really nice. Now I don't know whether they play any different than my experience,
Well,
but they but
what I found is with the future pinball tables, most of the tables I enjoy. I mean, I always when I go to play them, I'll opt for the VPX version if there's a VPX version. But what I found in
yeah.
some cases, sometimes when the VPX versions have been recreated, they're missing features. Like I've seen some future pinball versions that will have sound effects or music that don't carry over when somebody recreates the VPX. So I look at them and I'll decide kind of what I keep. I usually don't have duplicates on my setup unless there's something different. Like so, for example, VPX, you see modded versions all the time. I might have
Right.
10 versions of the same table if it has different artwork because I'm a fan. If it has the different artwork, I just like to have that. But you're right. Yeah, I find that the VPX versions tend to play much better than the future pinball versions. There are
Yeah.
some like the most playable ones that play really solid are the pin event tables. For future pinball. Like my all-time favorite one, of course, is being a horror fan is the Halloween table. Man, that
Okay.
table is just so well done.
Yeah, like I said, I do the VPX. I've tried the future, so I just kind of stayed away from those. But
Yeah.
I would imagine once and I'm not looking forward to doing it again. I might have to look you up to jump in line on some of these tables. But yeah, it's just such a pain to find the tables, get them, and I know they took down the one site,
Yeah,
VPX
yeah,
was a
yeah. It
universe.
was VPin Universe, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that makes it a little more difficult to find things because I know I use that site quite a bit. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to get my at games up and going with the big back glass with the DMD and to get
Yeah.
my PC going with that. Now the issue with my Toy Shock that I don't like is I have a standard hard drive. I don't have a solid drive. So I'm definitely going to get a solid drive
Well, see,
on.
I'm running mine off as a regular hard drive too, and they play fine.
Yeah.
They play fine. Yeah, I have it's one of the faster versions of a hard. It's a 72 hard. If you're going to do it on a regular hard drive, you want to make sure it's a 7200 RPM drive. But I'm not doing an SSD, and honestly, I don't see any performance drop at all. It plays fine. I mean, my build between that and everything I have on there. I mean, I bought a 10 terabyte drive, and I think I feel like 6 between the pinball and coin ops and everything else I have. It's a dedicated OTG, if you will, PC. But if I would have cost me a lot more to try and do that with SSD. But I find performance wise it seems to be okay.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I and some it was Devil Waldo here was talking about his Switch. I know that Tulsa Arcades it created a little mini. Have you seen that? The little mini um, Switch pinball
Yeah.
machine. Yeah, that looks pretty sweet. That looks pretty sweet. I might have to grab that. But I've been really digging my Switch. I've been playing golf more than anything. I definitely found that golf game has been. I keep that thing in the car if I
Which
if I'm
which
going
golf
somewhere.
game?
It It's the PGA Tour, I believe it is.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Two
I have
K
that.
2K21
Yeah,
PGA Tour.
I have that for Xbox. Great game.
Oh man, that game is awesome. The only thing
Yeah.
about the Switch, some of the pop-ups that they have is made for TV, so it's kind of tiny
Oh, okay.
on the Switch. But I just kick butt in that thing. I don't know if you guys saw P Dubs. I didn't get a chance to say hello to P Dubs when he was on earlier, but yeah, I don't know if you caught the live stream of us playing. It was a pretty close game, but
Oh,
I'm
that's
getting up in
awesome.
the playoffs. But I've had to put that thing on hard and go multiple rounds just to get a challenge from these guys. But Justin Thomas is always on my head, though, Um, but I've really been enjoying that game.
Yeah,
And my
really
wife
well done.
enjoys it too, because then I bug her less because I'll turn that on and find some time to play that. But yeah, awesome game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking of the Switch as it comes out as the new cruising game comes out next week.
Okay, yeah, yep,
Cruising Blast.
yep. P Dubs was talking about that earlier.
Looking forward to that. I think it's the 14th it comes out on. I'm definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, because I was kind of struggling with the a Switch in what game is going to make me love that little thing. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And I'm surprised that golf plays very well. Actually, when I played on the TV, I don't think it plays as well on the TV. With the controllers that way. Um, but yeah, I love it because I had Mortal Kombat. I think that was probably my most played Mortal Kombat 11. I think it was.
Yeah.
But I'm a real wild fighter, man. I never learn the moves. I just beat you by pure determination.
I'm
Uh,
the same way. I'm like just mash buttons till I win.
yeah, or until my hands wear out, and then
Yeah,
then you got me.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but I just never can remember those moves.
No, I'm the same way. I'm like, it's not going to start learning now. There's just too many moves, man. It's like down this way, that way. I'm like, I still suck when it comes to Street Fighter.
Yeah, Glenn. Earlier, somebody was asking. They were saying introduce yourself because I guess some people didn't know who you were.
Oh, sure, sure. So I am actually one of the community moderators for the Legends Q&A page. And then personally, I'm an independent filmmaker, horror filmmaker. If you guys, you might have seen some of my work. If you guys are Friday 13th fans, was last year there was a mega box set of everything released, and I did a locations featurette for Friday 13th Part 1 and 2. I've done horror movies in the past. Actually, just celebrated the 10th anniversary from one of my fourth movie that was released years ago. So I've done horror movies these days. Mostly, I'm doing documentaries and location featurettes for 70s, 80s, 90s horror movies. There's Alone in the Dark is coming out. It's a vintage horror movie. Comes out in September. We did some stuff for that. I've got was just announced in from Vinegar Syndrome. If you like kung fu movies, there's a lost movie called New York Ninja. There's a really fascinating story. They actually put the movie back together. All they had was reels of film. There was no dialogue track, nothing. And I did, along with my partner, Michael Gingold, we did the documentary about the making of that. And that and the movie are going to premiere in LA in October. So I'll be flying out to LA for the Hollywood premiere of that.
Awesome.
So
and
yeah,
that's going to be at the theaters.
That is what's going to be. It'll be premiere in Hollywood, and then it'll go direct to video for Vinegar Syndrome. I don't know what they haven't announced the release date yet.
Okay.
But I would imagine it'll definitely be coming out before the end of this year. I think it'll probably be out before Black Friday. If not by Black Friday, they usually do a giant sale. So, but they haven't put a firm release date out yet. But that's the big project that's coming out right now. But we have about 4 or 5 other projects we're working on right now.
Awesome.
But yeah, if you enjoy horror stuff, look me up on IMDb and you can see all the cool stuff that, I've worked on. It's out there from Shout Factory, Vinegar Syndrome, Kino Lorber, all the different companies. But that's what I'm doing when I'm not toying around with ad games and pinball and all that other fun stuff.
Awesome. I'm sure my wife has seen some of your works because she loves every horror thing. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
a fan. I'm not a fan of horror, man. She drags me to some things and I just have zero interest. But that's pretty awesome. I did want to respond. Hey, Devil Waldo, I tried to every time you tried to play against me in the golf game, I tried to accept it, but the way they do that is very weird. And I know the P Dubs and I had a hard time getting hooked up. But every time I would try to accept it, it would say the invitation was no longer there. Then I would try to invite you, and then you wouldn't get. So there's something flawed in how they have that game set up to be able to accept it. Because if you're in the game, it launches you to something different. If you get out the game, it doesn't. I don't know what's wrong. So try and hook up with me again, Devil Waldo. I always have mine on, so I'm sure we'll find time to get on. But I'm not sure what the mechanics, the right way to do it, because what we both tried clearly didn't work in starting the game. But I would love to play you in some game. The computers has no match for me, so I need some real people to play against. Oh man, so we're definitely over hour, man. Glenn, I appreciate you jumping on
Oh,
with
this has been
me.
a blast.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going, but I had to get on, man. It's just been too long. I've been missing all you guys. I didn't. These guys weren't gonna be able to make it today. Again, they was gonna spend time with wife. I spent all my time with my wife all last weekend and this week, you know. And so I wanted to get behind the camera. I wanted to be able to talk to you guys and see what's happening because again, I had no clue what all the controversy was and why it should be controversy. And it's just pretty silly stuff. But I'm glad we got the chance to talk about it. Glenn, I appreciate you, man. I'll have to
Yeah,
check
this
out
has
some
been
of
fun.
your things. I appreciate in the past you've helped me out with my ALU. I think I bought the DMD screen that you recommended, and I had all the early stuff, but all that stuff is switched because I got the new Rachel board, which that stuff
Right,
all
right.
replaces. And by the time I get that going, it's probably going to be a new version. That who knows? But I appreciate you coming on, man, last minute like that.
Yeah,
And
no
guys,
problem.
I appreciate all you guys coming out and saying hello and all the well wishes from my mom and everybody. So I appreciate it,
Yeah, I'm
guys.
glad to hear your family's doing better. So
Thank you,
that's
sir.
awesome.
All right, guys. I appreciate you. I love you guys. Until next time, we'll see you guys on the web. Peace.
Peace out.